Bodos and their search for autonomy. Bodos are a group of tribes in Assam. In Assam, there are two types of tribes: plains tribes and hills tribes. Historically, hills tribes have been given protection because they are relatively inaccessible area. Plains tribes are not given that protection. They are on the banks of Brahmaputra, and Bodos in particular are on the northern bank of Brahmaputra. They are the group which speak pure Bodo speakers and also others, constituting 4.51% of the population as per 2011 census. And this is where the Bodos are. Northern bank of Brahmaputra river. Okay. So what happens when there is no special administrative arrangements? They are affected by migration, contributing to resource erosion. One very serious problem that Assam has faced historically is migration. First, the Britishers brought Adivashis from central India to work on tea plantations. In Assam, they are being called Adivashis, also called tea tribes. That is one. Next, many Bengalis came from India and also from later day East Pakistan and Bangladesh. People who came from these are Hindus as well as Muslims. Okay. So Assam is a mix of many religions, Hindus and Muslims in particular, and many languages, Assamese, Bengalis. And in addition, there are tribes. And within the tribes, plains tribes as well as hill tribes. And of all these people, plains tribes are affected most. Why? There is a lot of migration and encroachment into their lands, causing demographic change. Okay. So Bodos faced problems like this. Somewhere here, so many people coming. And definitely, they don't represent any an advanced stage of development. They are simple tribes currently doing agriculture. And why the plains tribes treated differently from hill tribes? It is because plain tribes are seen as those who would be assimilated into Assamese. Assamese is a caste. Assamese is the language, but Assamese people are caste people, and Bodos tribes. On plains, these tribes are becoming castes, and if they can make into a higher caste, they'll be happy. This has been a historical phenomenon, which means many Bodos have become Assamese Hindus. That has been the historical process. When Bodos do not want that and assert themselves as Bodos, this is a reversal of historical process. So Bodo's demand for a distinct ethnic identity, separate land, political autonomy, is in the direction of reversing this Assamization, Hinduization, assimilation. So this is a case of ethnic assertion, an ethnic group trying to be politically autonomous, case of ethno-nationalism. Okay. We can say this ethno-nationalism is a response to ethno-nationalism of Assamese, who wanted Assam for Assamese, launched a movement against immigrants. There was a movement that the immigrants should go back to the places where they came from. Assam for Assamese was Assamese nationalism, and autonomy for Bodos is Bodo nationalism. Okay. But as in the case of Assamese, Bodos also have this problem that in their land there are many people who are others, non-Bodos. And also these Bodos are spread at other places, which means in the Bodo, so-called Bodoland, there are many others, that's one, and the Bodos are spread across. Why there are others? That precisely is the problem. Many people came, then they changed the demography. So, cases like this, how should this be handled? Okay. So, this is the issue. This has been a historical scene. For example, Gate, a British scholar, says number of Bodo speakers declined from 1881 to 1891 census, from 2.63 lakhs to 2 lakhs. At the same time, Hinduized Bodos increased. They could move into high status Hindu castes, not identifying themselves as Bodos. So this has been the historical process, but tribe refusing to be a caste now, refusing to become a caste and asserting for a separate identity. Okay. But how do you handle this process is an issue. But is it that separate identity is new? It is not so. For example, historically, in 1967, Plains Tribal Council of Assam and all Bodo Students Union were formed and demanded Udayachal, a separate state. This was in response to government's announcement to reorganize Assam. So first time demand was made in 1961. Before that, they were facing some pressure. For example, in 1961, Assamese is made sole official language, which means Bodo language would be affected, or there won't be state help to Bodos, Bodo language. So these are the process because of which this is how migration affected the resources. For example, in 1930 itself, F.W. Hokenhell committee is formed to look into the issue of outsiders buying huge land in Bodo inhabited areas. He recommended continued immigration with strict application of line system, which divided the settlement of tribes and non-tribes. And I mean, some kind of separation, which didn't really help. And after 1947, tribal belts and blocks were created to prevent encroachment, but in practice it failed. And in 1986, AGP government made it occupation of forest land without pattas was deemed illegal. Bodos got affected. They became encroachers suddenly. But the government did not evict encroachers from tribal belts and blocks, which means the encroachment from Bodo's land, encroachers from Bodo's land were not evacuated, but their position in the forest got affected. So all these developments contributed to demand for separate statehood. Okay. And as they became more aggressive, accords were signed. So far, 3 accords were signed. One accord in 1993, another accord in 2003. The problem with this accord is like this. These are the issues. There are tribals, Bodos, and there are many non-tribals, non-Bodos. So you create a territory. First problem is, what is the jurisdiction of the territory? That is the first thing. Next, who heads? And what are the powers? be it legislature, executive, judicial powers. And what is the administrative system? And then what controls does the state government have over this? And how are Bodos represented in this power structure? And what should be the position of the non-Bodos? So will Bodos feel empowered enough? These are the issues. That is the power structure, control, and how about non-Bodos? When, in the case of Bodos, non-Bodos are in majority. As of now, Bodos constitute only 1/3 in this area. And when Bodos are not happy, what would they do? So these are the issues. So in trying to resolve them, 3 accords were signed. 1993 and 2003. In 1993, ABSU signed. Bodo Autonomous Council is formed. Council to have control over developmental affairs. But there is no clear boundary. That became an issue. And then there was rioting by Bodos against Bengali Muslims in 93, 94 and against Santals in 1996 in an effort to cleansing. And non-Bodos retaliated, counter-violence. So this accord failed. Next, 2003. Bodo liberation tigers surrendered weapons, which meant that some people took to violence. Next, Bodoland Territorial Council administered Bodoland Territorial Area District was constituted under 6th schedule. 6th schedule gave more powers. But it did not stop ethnic violence. Took place in 2008 and 2008. And finally, ABSU rejected this accord and left in 2010. And only recently, a new accord was signed. This is the 3rd Bodo Accord. BTAD will be renamed. It will be headed by Chief Executive Member. And many factions signed. And this council will have say in appointment of collector and SP. 40 subjects of legislation were already there and 8 more will be added. And territorially, BTAD will be expanded. Now it comprises 4 districts and 3,822 villages. More villages will be added, but some will be excluded. And for non-tribals, to help the non-tribals, village councils and urban councils will be introduced. Okay. And then there is a proposal for the Bodos outside. Bodo Kachari Autonomous Council will be set for those Bodos outside BTR on the lines of existing 6 councils for the plains tribes, and then an economic package. So this is the 3rd Bodo Accord signed. So this one will come under 6th schedule. This Bodoland will come under 6th schedule. In fact, according to the 3rd Accord, powers of the council will be more than what are normally given under 6th schedule. This map shows all the councils, autonomous regional, autonomous district councils formed under sixth schedule. 3 in Assam, Bodoland, Karbi Anglong, and Dimahasao. 3 in Assam. Bodoland is here, consisting of 4 districts. But interestingly, Assam has not only these 3, but also some more. Deora, Mizing, Rabahasong, Kachari, they were totally 6. But these 6 not coming under 6th schedule. So 3 coming under 6th schedule. In addition, 6 not coming under 6th schedule. And one more of this is proposed under the 3rd Bodo Accord. So as of now, most parties have signed as recent as January 2020, and it seems settled. And one of the aspects of the settlement is the surrendered cadres will, the NDFB cadres surrendered their weapons, and some of them will be paid cash compensation, and some will be given recruitment in law and order enforcement mechanism. So normally these are the ways by which an ethnicity based demand will be handled. Let us see how successful this is going to be.